Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Qistina Zulaikha binti Mohammad Kamal Amri.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Syamimi Najwa binti Norlizam.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nursyahira binti Mohd Mahbot.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Noorfatihah Husna binti Hasbi.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Syamimi Ainaa binti Mohammad Fitrillah.
Cooking is a valuable life skill which is often linked with improved diet quality. It is also concluded the factor between online media exposure and behavior in self-efficacy and the other skills. The background of study concluded in exploring the factor influencing self-efficacy. Hence, the study also related with the major risks of people who are having their unhealthy food. Not only that, the major risk for many diseases and conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, and body pains. Last but not least, the very few study also described cooking-related online media content, exposure, and the impact it has on attitude of self-efficacy in cooking online media. The objective of this study is to investigate the exposure of cooking-related online media, which is in short form CROM, in relation to cooking attitudes, cooking self-efficacy, and also cooking behavior. Specifically, this study assesses student exposure to CROM as it correlates with the student attitude toward cooking.
For article exploring the relationship between online media and exposure cooking self-efficacy, skills and behaviors among college students, for the recent question stated on the article is first between cooking attitudes and the cooking behaviors. Second question, is there a link between cooking attitude and cooking self-efficacy? Third question, is there a link between culinary self-efficacy and cooking behaviors? Fourth question, is there exposure and positive attitude, self-efficacy and culinary behaviors? The fifth question is, what are the most popular online media outlets among college students? For the problem statement in article exploring the relationship between online media exposure and cooking self-efficacy skills and behavior among college students is due to the use of company SU Long Beach. This study was constrained by the possibility of an incorrect representation of young adult college students. Students in the target courses at the individual university may respond differently than the rest. I believe that the participants answered the question through population at university across the country. The study also relies on self-reporting, which is well known for its reliability. In order to conduct this study, some assumptions are made, such as an accurate and trustworthy measure of the variables, cooking behavior skill, self-efficacy attitudes, and CROM exposure.
So today I will present my part in discussion on variable. The variables cooking behavior, cooking attitude, cooking efficacy, and media exposure were generated by combining multiple related Likert scale questions. Related questions were testing for reliability of measuring the same variable using Cronbach alpha. Each variable was calculated as an average of all available question responses related to that variable. The final variable average score calculation were adjusted to account for missing values from unanswered questions. That means, score for each variable were compared using stepwise multiple linear regression where demographics were controlled. For chance, test was used to determine significant differences in regression outcomes based on adding demographics to the model. The significance level was set at P 0.05. Next, conceptual framework. So this is the conceptual framework of the article. So this conceptual framework is used as a guide for exploring various influences of a college student cooking behavior in this study. It has been used for decades to describe and explain the stages with readiness for behavior change, and it is noticed as generalizable across a broad range of problems, behavior, and populations. Using this model, online media is theorized to have an impact on helping transition people from pre-contemplation of the problem behavior not cooking, choosing convenient food, to contemplation and possibly action, cooking, preparing one's own food. H01. There will be no significant association between the subjects, cooking attitudes, and cooking behavior. H02. There will be no significant association between the subjects, cooking self-efficacy, and cooking behavior. H03. There will be no significant association between the subjects, cooking attitudes, and cooking self-efficacy. H04. There will be no significant association between the subject CROM exposure and cooking attitudes. H05. There will be no significant association between the subject CROM exposure and cooking self-efficacy. And the last H6. There will be no significant association between the subject of exposure and cooking behavior.
For the population, for an online research survey is conducted among university students in Malaysia. The target population is university students in Malaysia. The aim of the study is to identify on how cooking attitudes, cooking self-efficacy, and cooking habits are affected by exposure to cooking-related online media, which is CROM, among university students in Malaysia. For the sampling, the type of our sampling methods that we use were recruit through convenience sampling or take them where you find them method. The size of sample is about 157 respondents. The course were chosen based on the diversity of students enrolled in them and the results generalizability.
For this study, a survey was developed using questions obtained and adapted from the previous study that have similar variables. This survey was conducted online using the Google Forms software, and we had invited the participant to participate in the survey by clicking on the provided web link, which took them directly to the survey itself. The students were asked a series of questions to assess their cooking attitudes, cooking self-efficacy, cooking skill or behavior, and some exposure using variety of Likert scale matrices. At the end of the survey, several multi-select question and an optional free responses question were included to collect response about the social networking sites they used and if it is applicable where they learn to cook. IBM SPSS Statistic version 20 was used to analyze the data. Standards deviation and frequencies were calculated using descriptive statistic. By combining multiple related Likert scale questions, the variables cooking behavior, cooking attitude, cooking self-efficacy, and media exposure were created. Each variable was calculated by taking the average of all available question responses for the variable.
For the data analysis, I am presenting my part, which is a descriptive statistic. For the first table, you can see the descriptive for gender result. The mean for the gender is 1.9430, while the standard deviation is 1.75667. For the second table, which is age result, the mean for the age is 2.4430, while the standard deviation for age is 1.30405. For the third descriptive statistic table, which is for the residence, the mean for the residence is 1.7785, while the standard deviation for the residence is 1.64964. Next, for the table number 4, which is descriptive statistic for race and ethnicity, the mean for the race is 1.7785, while the standard deviation is 1.60661. For the fifth descriptive statistics table, which is food insecurity, the mean for the food insecurity is 1.9335, while the standard deviation is 0.96120. For the sixth table, descriptive statistic, which is cooking attitudes, the mean for the cooking attitudes is 3.4539, while the standard deviation is 0.56389. Okay, for the seventh descriptive statistic table, and for the cooking self-efficacy, the mean for the cooking self-efficacy is 3.7906, while the standard deviation for cooking self-efficacy is 0.82572. For the descriptive statistic table, which is cooking behavior, for the mean of the cooking behavior is 3.7907, while the standard deviation value which is for the cooking behavior is 1.41336. For the ninth table, descriptive statistics, which is media exposure, for the mean for the media exposure is 3.7530, while the standard deviation value for the media exposure is 0.80852. And for the last table, descriptive statistic is social media. The mean for the social media is 3.4115, while the standard deviation for the social media is 1.48323.
So next is frequency. In this table statistic for gender, they have 158 respondents. For the mean, they have 1.9430 and the median is 1.000, the mode is 1.00. In this table gender, there are two types of gender. First is female and male. For the female, they have 98 frequency and 62.0%. For the male, they have 31 frequency and 19.6%. The most highest frequency in this table gender is female, which are 98 frequency. In this statistic for table age, they have 158 respondents. For the mean, they have 2.4430. For the median, 2.0000, and the mode is 2.00. In this table, they have four types of age. First is 18 to 20, 21 to 24, 25 to 30, and others. For the age of 18 and 20, the frequency is 30 and the percent is 19. For the 21 to 24, they have 73 frequency and 46.2%. 25 to 30, they have 30% 30 frequency and 19%. And for the others, they have 15 frequency and 9.5%. So, the age of 21 to 24 is the highest frequency, which are 73 frequency. This means there are 73 respondents that has respond in this is age 21 to 24.
I will be explaining for inferential statistic in reliability test. In reliability statistic table, there are 6 items that represent from 158 respondents that we got. From the 11th item, we found the item was not so reliability since it was 0.35. We can see the number at Cronbach alpha in reliability statistic table. If you use this in the study material, the result we get will not be able to consistent every time a measurement is made. If you look in the alpha Cronbach box, if the item is deleted, the number we have is below than 0.5. If we can manage to get 0.7 above, the item will be consistent every time measurement was made.
The significance difference of step hypothesis is the observed mean difference is 466x6 since the value of t is 3.821 at p less than 0.00. The mean difference is 446x6 between cooking behavior and cooking attitude square 1 is statistically significant. According to the SIG of 0.00, which is less than 0.05, the hypothesis is rejected. Therefore, it can be inferred that there was an instructional effect on cooking among university students. The observed mean difference is 0.2614 since the value of t is 0.02 0.200 at p less than 0.842. The mean difference is 0.2614 between cooking behavior and cooking self-efficiency per 2 is the statistically significant. According to the SIG of 0.842, the hypothesis is accepted. Therefore, it can be inferred that there was an instructional effect on cooking amongst university students. The observed mean difference is 0.3774 since the value of t is 0.282 at p less than 0.779. The mean difference is 0.3774 between cooking behavior and media exposure per 3 is statistically significant.
Now I'm going to present the correlation state hypothesis. The first one is the relationship between cooking behavior and attitudes. From the table above, the correlation amongst cooking and behavior with cooking attitudes is that it indicates a relationship amongst every other. The p-value for fact behavior and attitudes are each indicates 0.00, which then decrease to 0.05. Thus, the hypothesis among facts, behavior, and attitudes is therefore accepted. The second one is the relationship between cooking behavior and media exposure. From the table of correlation analysis above, it shows that the hypothesis is accepted. This is because, based on the SIG two-tailed, the p-value is 0.000 and the value is less than 0.05, as it formulated in SPSS. And last but not least, the relationship between social media and media exposure. From the table that is shown, the correlation among social media with media exposure is that it indicates a relationship amongst every other. The p-value for facts, media, social media, and media exposure are each indicates 0.06, which then increased to 0.05. In conclusion, current evidence supports positive correlation between the cooking attitudes, cooking self-efficacy, and cooking behaviors. Although there was a significant positive relationship between cooking-related online media, CROM, and cooking attitudes, self-efficacy, and behavior, CROM was not identified as a significant predictor when demographic variables were controlled for. In the study, self-efficacy was the primary predictor of cooking behavior, and it was most strongly related to the learning to cook from book, and it is in a school or class setting. The use of social networking sites remains popular. However, the use of this platform for promoting cooking requires further investigation to determine the method's effectiveness. As for the recommendation, further examination of this data set may reveal additional information about the sample and the variables measured in the study. A similar study with a large sample size and in different population could produce different, possibly more significant results. Future prospective cooking studies should closely monitor the method and tools used to instill self-efficacy in cooking to determine which methods in these interventions are potentially most influential. Based on the finding in the study, future interventions may benefit from the use of cookbooks that participants can use at home. College and university courses should also focus on establishing this self-efficacy in students by implementing or continuing the use of cookbooks, as well as directing students to video sources that they can use outside the class.